What's happening, folks? Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. It's full-time reaction to Celtic 5, St Johnstone nil. We're back in another Scottish Cup final. I've got Stuart and Martin here to go through it with me. Martin, I think we just needed a wee bit of time to find the breakthrough in the game, but the floodgates opened after we got that first goal, and I thought we were brilliant.
The first spell of the game, it looked like we were going to struggle to break them down, and they were really resolute at the back. But Callum McGregor had a couple of shots in that very early phase, and I thought, he looks like he's in the mood to score one of those goals from 20 yards, and of course that's how we got the initial goal. But uncanny how quickly we then got the second, third and fourth. And at that point the game was well and truly over. St Johnstone fans would have been as well going up the road.
A few did.
I mean, there wasn't a great turnout, was there, by the St Johnstone fans at all, but I thought the captain was exceptional today. He just looked like he was in the mood, and the manager spoke a lot about getting a good start in the game. And of course we did last week. Terrible performance against St Johnstone, but then against Kilmarnock, great start. And again today you could just see we were right up from it, albeit we didn't get the early goal. But once we got that first goal, just the floodgates opened, and overall a really good first half.
Aye, Stuart, I think we did it in style. The first goal's really well worked. I think Tannadice brings it in off the right hand side, a lovely wee sort of back heel into McGregor, who just takes a touch and lovely finish past the goalkeeper. And then I think goals 2 and 3 were really well worked as well.
Yeah, there was a weakness that I noticed for St Johnstone. Curtis, the right back, there was a ball inside him. It was Darren actually that I was sitting with that pointed it out. I think that Celtic exploited that really well, and I think they sensed that was where they could make things happen. It was all about breaking St Johnstone's spirit, because they defended, as you say, resolutely, really bravely, really committedly. First goal, and then it's just like, that's it. It's the mental side of the game that's so important. You mentioned about the kind of well-worked goals. Celtic's interplay was intricate in the first half after that first goal. But I think it was disjointed before that. I think there was a few moments like Engels would play a couple of passes, one to the penalty spot where he should have a runner, one where James Forrest didn't make the run. That said, James Forrest was fantastic. I love this thing that he just comes out of cold storage at the end of the season and kind of carries us to trebles and titles and what have you. It's really cool. But McGregor for the first goal, if you notice, he just takes a wee second and composes himself. And I think that's the key. It's that level of composure and that kind of intricacy that is really important in these games, to make sure that you can get that breakthrough. And you mentioned it, Martin, after the first one, floodgates open, and it's because just the mental side of the game, St Johnstone were broken after that, and they really struggled for the rest of that first half, picked themselves up in the second. Ironically though, I thought Celtic actually played better football overall in the second half, when they were allowed to, because the officials were terrible with the kind of stop-start nature. But yeah, it was good.
I think we needed that wee bit of composure, Martin, because I think before the first goal it was just a few shots for the edge of the box, as you mentioned. McGregor had one, I think Engels had one, like sting the palms of the keeper, but we couldn't just make that final decision, that final pass. I think the second goal was really well worked. Idah, who I think when he gets the ball played into him at times, the size of him, physical presence, you're looking for him maybe to try and lower the defender a bit more often. He seems to be comfortable just taking it into his feet and maybe giving it back. But he lays off a lovely ball. McGregor makes a forward run, finds Maeda, and Dyson gets another 2 goals today. Remarkable season continues.
I thought the thing with Maeda was he was just alert, as he always is. He just reads things, and then he reacts really, really quickly. And not only does he react and he anticipates what's going to happen, but obviously he's got the electric pace as well, and he's got a finish in him. You were talking earlier, Paul, about just when you play him just a little bit in rather than him hogging the touchline, just bring him in a couple of yards close at the edge of the penalty box. That's probably where he's at his best. And we know he's good on the penalty spot in the 6-yard box, but just on the edge of the box I think is where he's at his very best, because he times his runs, like Stuart was saying earlier. As soon as he recognises an opportunity, just to time his run and get in behind the defender, he's really good at that. So his 2 finishes were just sublime. We got he never got a hat-trick. Am I right in saying he got a hat-trick in the last semi-final in the 6-0 against Aberdeen? Did he get a hat-trick in that?
I think he did, yeah.
But I think that's 33 goals now, is that right? 33, so wow. I mean, he's pushing 40, and nobody would be surprised with 6 games to go. Seven goals. Wouldn't be surprised if he hits that. But he was excellent today, and I wonder if he might have taken the penalty for his hat-trick, or maybe James Forrest, who knows. But he was great, and delighted for him to get a couple in that first half.
Stuart, Idah gets on the score sheet as well. Again, really nice ball in from Hatate. Great ball for Scales to sort of make the space for Hatate into the channel, and then a lovely assist, and Idah puts it away. Dyson scores again. We get 4-0 at half time from I think 30 minutes. We're still locked at 0-0. So quite a remarkable turnaround in that period of the game. You're just concerned. We've seen it a couple of times recently that when you get a lead like that, the second half becomes a non-event. But you've alluded to it already. You're quite impressed with some of the football we've played second half.
It's all about, I think I've said it before, it's all about the speed that the ball moves. Like, that is what dictates the tempo that Celtic set or don't set is going to dictate how they play. And it was nice to see, I think, a strong 90 minutes from Celtic, because I think there's been a lot of games, because we're so imperious in the domestic scene, one good half is enough. And I think, by the way, to give a bit of sort of leeway to the players and the management, this schedule of games is remarkable, with the extra Champions League games and all of the rest of it. So they are absolutely burnt out. Some of the poor performance levels that you've seen in recent weeks, I think, can be put down to that. But Celtic today, as I say, I actually think we were better second half. We moved the ball really well. I thought the football was crisper. Whereas in the first half, I think we struggled to get the breakthrough. And although there was sort of goals coming after that, I think that was more due to St Johnstone just being broken in spirit, as I said. Whereas I think in the second half, even though there was only one goal, I think Celtic played with a good purpose, and it was nice to see. Changed a wee bit when the subs came on. I think it took a wee while for them to kind of sort of establish themselves and get up to the kind of flow of the game. And I think with the 5 subs as well, I mean, I personally, I'm just the old man yelling at the cloud. I preferred when it was 3, because I thought it sort of put the onus on the manager to get them right, rather than just throwing things in. And I think what happens is, when you throw that many subs into a game, it's quite hard for the team to cohesively gel as a unit. But I think Celtic were all right at that today. And I think you mentioned just before we kind of came on live, Martin, that you were impressed with Hatate. I think he was excellent today. I think his eye for a pass was bang on. And I think Celtic's midfield, which, I mean, I was at the game at Perth with you, it was pretty abject. Today it was the opposite of that, and I did have a feeling coming in that we would smash them, and I think we did.
Just talked about the 5 subs there. We have got a lot of strength on the bench though, Martin. We bring on Jota, we bring on Kuhn, we bring on Bernardo. Ralston comes on, I forget the other sub, McGregor as well in midfield, that's right. He came in for Engels. Jota's goal's superb. I think it's Johnson, is it, with the deep cross to the back post at the angle. I was just right behind Jota. I mean, he's got a ball width to squeeze it in there at the post, and it's a great technical finish.
I've seen a couple of goals scored like that. Ibrox with really narrow angle. Like Henrik scored one, for example. But I had a great view of that. I was sitting in the south stand, I had a brilliant view of the goal, and it looked like an impossible angle, but Jota just did what Jota does, and he makes it look easy. I thought, as you say, when the subs come on, I mean, let's not kid ourselves on, there's been a message from the gaffer, there's 2 or 3 of the guys starting on the bench for a reason. Fantastic players, but sometimes it can be luxury players, and maybe their mindset's not right. And Brendan's not missed that message, not just to those players, but to the full squad. Said, we don't want to stumble over the line, and I'm not prepared to accept it. It would have been easy for the manager to say after a great season, look, you're going to get 1-0 away to St Johnstone's and teams like that, because it does happen in the course of a season and you underperform. But he's not prepared to accept that dip in form, and to be fair to him, to do it in a league game at home is one thing, but to do it in a semi-final is a statement for some of these players to say, look, I need you to be at your best week in, week out, and I need a strong start. So that again was a message today. Strong first half last week, strong first half again this week, and those guys have arguably earned the right to start again in the next game. And that just tells us that our squad's reasonable. We know that there's not 2 players for every position that are as good as we'd like them to be, but we have got a good bench and everybody's fit, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Stuart, 5 league games to go in the cup final. We've talked through that wee sticky patch, if you could call it that. It's maybe too strong with the form there, about wanting to sprint over the line and finish in style. If we can keep that performance level up today, we'll do that. We need a point at Tannadice next weekend, and then we can look forward to the cup final.
Yeah, I would say so, but I think the important thing for Celtic is to make sure, for me, it's more about, at this point, how the players are kind of mentally gonna manage it in the remaining weeks of the season. And what I want to see is, I want to see players showing a bit of desire. Now, I think we spoke about this before, but I think there's a few of them that definitely won't be here next year. But what I want to see is, I want to see people that, regardless of whether they're going to be here or not, give full commitment, 90 minutes every game. and I think Celtic fans deserve that. So in the running, that's what we're looking at, and I think it's going to be instructive for fans and more so for Brendan Rodgers, that he will be able to see the players that he knows are committed going into next season, because it's about managing that, and also obviously making sure that we kind of brew ourselves along to make sure that we come here and we smash it again in the cup final.
Aye, absolutely. Martin, man of the match today, a few contenders.
Aye, man of the match is a good one. I think McGregor got the sponsors, and I wouldn't. It didn't surprise me in the slightest. Even thought in the first half he'd earned the right to be man of the match. For me, Rio Hatate involved in 3 of the first 4 goals. I really enjoyed his performance today, and he's an individual who's come. He's had a lot of criticism in sort of the last maybe 12 games. A lot of fans have said, look, he should be dropped. He is a grafter. He doesn't always perform well, but he is a grafter. He looked disappointed when he went off today, but I think he'd done enough, and that was just Brendan saying, listen, off you come. You've had a great performance. So for me, you could have given it to others as well, not just the captain and Hatate, but for me, I would give it to Rio. Yeah,
absolutely. It's a toss-up from you between Hatate and McGregor. Stuart, how's it for you?
So, just on the Rio Hatate point, I think a lot of people don't understand what he brings to the team. I think a lot of people get frustrated when he's hesitant or holds on to the ball. I think that's just his style, but nobody retains possession in the team better than him, and particularly on the European stage, I think that's absolutely vital for Celtic. So I think fans sometimes don't necessarily appreciate the more subtle elements of his game. I'm going to go with my heart. My head says Hatate, but it's the James Forrest show, mate. I know he was only on for an hour of the game, or whenever it was Brendan took him off, but in the first half, when St Johnstone were defending resolutely, I was getting excited when the ball went to James Forrest. He was the one that had... He was playing with purpose and drive and everything. Directness, exactly. Everything you would expect, and doing a combination, even though he's very much right-footed, combination of cutting inside and hitting the byline. Proper old-school wingers performance. I'm giving it to James Forrest.
There you go. That's our full-time reaction. Like the video, and we will see you next week for the build-up to Tannadice. Thank you.